Welcome ladies and gents, Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter for boxing related tweets, or you can subscribe to the channel. Click that notifications button and get a new notification whenever a new video is uploaded. You know, tonight, in my humble opinion, we saw something very, very special. Gabriel Rosado, a man who many people had considered to be washed up, a former gladiator whose body had been broken, knocked out the bully Bektemir Melikuziev inside 3 rounds. You know, in ancient Greece, they used to put virtues on a pedestal. A different warrior, whatever warrior it might have been, any given warrior, was given mythological status based on the virtues that he upheld, based on the virtues that he displayed. Well, Gabriel Rosado's victory tonight was a victory of cunning. It was a victory of intellect. It was a victory of brains over brawn. And I want to talk a little bit about this because this was a beautiful, beautiful win. As I said, in ancient Greece, different warriors were assigned different mythological attributes. Take Hercules, for example. Hercules, renowned for his brute strength. He killed a lion with his bare hands. Achilles, a great warrior and soldier, but it was prophesied that he would perish at a young age. So his mother took him to the river Styx. The river Styx was a river that separated the living from the dead, this world from the underworld, but it had powers of invulnerability. And so she knew that if she could dip him into that river, she would make him immortal. She could enable her beloved son to grow beyond that young age. So she took him from the hill, the Achilles hill, and she dipped Achilles into the river Styx. Now, needless to say, because she was holding him from the foot, there was only one area that did not get wet, only one area that did not become immortal. So, after many great years of battle, how did he die? He was hit in the Achilles heel with an arrow, and he bled out, and he died. This was the tragedy of Achilles, but here's the thing. Obviously, in real life, Achilles was not immortal. But how were the ancient Greeks going to make something like that relevant to them? How could they attach meaning to the great warrior that they had in the time dying from an arrow hitting him in the heel? Did he bleed out? Did he get an infection and die? How could such a great warrior die from an infection? So they had to mythologize it. And this was the mythology they attached to it. It was the only area that Achilles could have been killed in. Well, Odysseus was renowned for his intellect. Not his power, not his military prowess, although he was extremely capable militarily. It was his intellect that made him stand out. Perhaps he's best renowned for the Trojan horse. Unable to breach the walls of Troy, he decided that they were going to build a wooden horse as a gift of submission. And when the Trojans would open their gates and allow them to enter, the soldiers that were hiding inside this giant wooden horse would pounce and take the city of Troy. However, when it comes to Odysseus, there's an even smarter story. And that's the story of Polyphemus. Polyphemus was a cyclops, a giant with one eye, the son of Poseidon. On the way back from the Trojan War, Odysseus and his men stopped off at an island and they needed provisions. So they got down on the island and they began to look around and they saw a cave. So they decided to search the cave. And as they were looking for food, they saw a boulder roll out behind them, and it was this charming creature locking them in. They were stuck in the cave with nowhere to go, and he ate 2 of the men. The next morning, he ate another 2 of the men. And then he decided he was going to go out to graze his sheep, so he closed the boulder behind him. And Odysseus realized, this giant is going to kill us all. We need to think of something, and we need to think of something quick. Well, when he returned, Odysseus decided he was going to give him some very, very strong wine as a gift. Undiluted wine. The sort of wine that would get you drunk very, very quickly. And they had copious amounts. So he began to drink this wine. And he was grateful, but he was in no mood for mercy. So he said, "What is your name, the man who has given me this gift?" And Odysseus said, "My name is Nobody." So Polyphemus promises, "I'm going to eat nobody, the last of all." That's the only mercy you're going to get. But that's as a thank you for my gift. You will get to live the longest. but I will eat you all." So he continued to drink, and as he passed out, Odysseus and his men took a stake and they sharpened it and they set it on fire, and then they stabbed him through the eye. Well, he woke up screaming for his brothers. His brothers ran in. "Polyphemus, who did this to you?" Seeking revenge. He said, "Nobody did this to me." So his brothers assumed that was a literal answer, and instead of looking for men to devour, they ran out to pray to the gods. Maybe we must have done something wrong. This is a divine punishment. We have to find a way to repent for whatever it is that we've done that's wrong. So they ran off to pray, and he was left in there alone, Polyphemus. So he quickly rolled back the boulder, knowing that the men were still in the cave. But he had a dilemma. In the morning, the sheep had to go out to graze. So what was he going to do? Well, he decided that everything I let out, every sheep that I let out, I'm going to feel it to make sure that it's a sheep and not a man. And if I feel any man try and run past me, he's getting devoured. So the blind Cyclops rolled back the boulder and waited. But Odysseus had a plan. Odysseus instructed his men to hide on the bottom of the rams. So as they passed and he began to feel what was passing by, he felt wool. He was sure that they were rams and sheep, so he decided to let them out. And Odysseus was able to escape in this manner. Now, Gabriel Rosado was a modern-day Odysseus up against Polyphemus last night. Polyphemus is the man who was the monster, the powerful one, the one who came to devour Gabriel Rosado. However, as Georges Bidault once said, "The weak have one weapon, the errors of those who think they are strong." And Melikuziev made a key error. And it wasn't just one. But I've spoken in the past about how when you give up a pattern, when you do something consistently, you are giving up a pattern, and that pattern can be capitalized on. I've spoken about it in the sense of a bounce. Fighters that bounce. When you bounce, when you go up and you go down. On your way down, you're coiling. When you go up, you're not in a position to adjust. So if somebody can find your rhythm and punch you off of your rhythm, punch you as you're bouncing upwards, he can time you consistently. There are other fighters that bounce up and down, and then they stop and plant their feet a split second before throwing a punch, a power punch. Well, the moment that plant comes, that fighter knows to react. You're giving him a pattern. Well, not only does Melikuziev bounce, one of the things that he was doing and does consistently is lead with power punches to the body. The problem with doing this is multifaceted. We'll get into that in a moment. But Joel Diaz, his trainer, at the end of round 2 was actually saying to him, "Bektemir, throw some straight punches. Come on, I want to see some straight punches." Instead, he was jumping in with monstrous, it must be said, body punches. But when you're leading with those body punches and there's a consistent pattern, the guy knows what you're going to do. Now, one of the problems that Gabriel Rosado, or indeed any opponent's going to have, is that Melikuziev hits so hard to the body that if you try and throw a punch high and he lands to your body while you throw a punch to the head, you're exchanging blow for blow. And this man is very heavy-handed, he's got fast hands, and he hits so hard. Well, he's also very durable by the looks of it, generally speaking. So are you really going to want to take those liver shots as you throw a shot to his head that he's going to roll with, or you might not catch flush? He's going to break you down. He might break a rib. He might pierce the liver, so to speak. So all of a sudden you're in serious trouble. But because the pattern is consistent and he doesn't mix it up, he doesn't shape up as though he's going to throw a body shot but comes to your head. He doesn't throw consistent headshots which then make you protect your head before he rips a shot to the body. No, he's consistently leading with body shots. So as a result of that, you know that you need to hide your body. But you also know that because he throws low without necessarily coming low, he's leaving the entire upper part of his body open. So if your arms are high and you throw from a high position, say you've got a high guard and you shoot a punch from a high guard, you throw, say, a right cross, well, your ribs on the right hand side are going to be open. Well, by the same token, if your opponent's throwing a left hook low, but he's standing a little bit upright, even if he's bending slightly at the knees, well then the left side of his face and head is going to be open. So it's about the question of, is the exchange worth it? I'll land one for you to land one. So what does Gabriel Rosado do? He takes away the body. He does it by fighting out of a crouch. You see him lean back onto that back leg out of a wide stance. He does this at around 1 minute and 52 seconds of the round remaining. And it's not long after that, only a few seconds before the knockout comes. But he dips and he throws a jab as though he's stepping forward, and then he steps back and he's remaining low. Look at the photos there. The first photo, can you see how low he is? He's leaning back. He's trying to lure Melikuziev in. That wide stance is to stop Melikuziev from just walking him down. It's some sort of a shield, a barrier. But because Melikuziev is going to throw that left hook to the body, and Rosado knows this, he knows the minute he steps to me, I'm going to throw a quick right hand, but then I'm going to duck. I'm going to roll under the potential counter shot because I'm going to land the right hand, and then he's going to throw that hook low. Well, I'm already in a crouch. He might actually catch me on the side of the head. So I'm going to land a shot and roll under it. Well, he rolled under it, and Melikuziev was left on the floor, knocked out. He lured him in. He used his strength against him. He knew Melikuziev was going to be a bully. He knew Melikuziev was going to come in with a pattern to target the body again. So he took away his own body and he landed with a lead right hand by luring him in and then taking him out. This was Polyphemus, thinking he could go in there and just bully everyone, devour a supposedly washed up gladiator. But that gladiator had intellect. We hear the term ring IQ thrown around far too often. Well, this was a ring IQ right there. And because I know he's going to drop his left hand to throw a hook to the body, particularly till he's turned off at an angle. Can you see the shoulder there? And he's by the ropes, so the right hand side of his body's covered up. So he's offering bait. He knows the way that Melikusiev's going to go is going to be the left hook. It can't be the right hook based on where he's at. It's going to be the left hook. That's the opening he's offered him. Take that opening. So as Melikuziev decides to take the opening, Gabriel Rosado takes him out. What a fantastic piece of ring IQ. Shout out to Gabriel Rosado. I tip my hat off to you. Terrific performance. Well, terrific finish. Prior to that, he'd been down in the first round and Melikuziev was putting a beating on him. But let this be a lesson to Melikuziev. Be a thinking fighter. Think about what you're doing. Stop giving these guys patterns. You've got all the attributes to be top quality. When I did a prospect watch on George Kambosos a long time ago now, way before he was internationally acclaimed, way before he was even in the run-in to fight a guy like Teofimo Lopez, I spoke about how he used the uppercut, which was his best punch, far too often. He was almost replacing the straight right hand with the uppercut, and it made no sense because it meant that guys could adapt to see the pattern and block it. Well, against Mickey Bay, he didn't throw it for the first, 9-10 rounds? Then he throws the right uppercut and he drops Mickey Bay. Melikuziev needs to learn from Kambosos. You're a monstrous body puncher. Don't let them see it coming. Let them focus on the head, then target the body. Being a brute without brains is not going to get you so far when you come up against an Odysseus. Well done, Gabriel Rosado. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification button. Help the channel grow. Really appreciate it. Take care and God bless.